Hello and welcome to my Let's Play Civilization 5 tutorial. This is actually recorded after I made the video. I muted the video and did not notice it. I accidentally muted it in an hour-long tutorial without voice. I try to revoice it right now and give you actually all the information. Here I will play with a standard setting and do discuss first a little bit about the basics, about how to get into Civ 5 on normal difficulty, like Prince, where the AI doesn't get any benefits, but you don't get any either. So a fair game. And that on standard side with 8 players and on Pangea. I will afterwards do a more enhanced explanation of how to play in another playlist, how to play against higher difficulty AI. And after that, at some day, I will do it also for multiplayer, how to play there. Even though there I would recommend just watch multiplayer. Watch good multiplayer people play Civilization 5 multiplayer, like Filthy Robot or Yorus or someone like that. They regularly do live streams and have their YouTube channel. Go check them out. I will go into Pangea for now, primarily. There is also like other map types. I will show them very soon. That I will not directly show, but some things may differ. For example, if you have to decide settle on coast or not on coast, on a Pangea, it doesn't matter that much. But on continents or archipelago, I would say, hey, go to coast. Coast is good there. And also, I will pick here Alexander, because he's kind of a bit more neutral civ. I will talk later in the videos in this playlist about which civilization is good and which not that much. It also differs in multiplayer. But against the AI, I will recommend you, the beginners, which civilization are good and useful. And if you do not like Pangea, just go and try out one of these other maps. Just play the game and try out. I will go here mainly first, in the first few videos, into the basics, into how do I place a city, what is important, on what tiles do I have to pay attention, what buildings are early on good, how is the AI behavior, how do I have to deal with that, what are city-states for, how do I deal with them, should I build first the work with the monument or the scout or something else, and what path in the tech tree I should go. That's what this video will be about, or these videos. And yeah, like I said, civilizations, I will go into them a bit later on, but then explain real quick why which one is better and another one may be not so good, and explain. For now, let's start and talk about the starting location. In here it shows the flavor text of Alexander and his unique stuff. But I will not explain that for now, that will come later on. First, it will be important where we start, because there are a few things that can be very good. Of course, the resources. You need to pay attention what resources you get. And here I will wait for actually the announcer to finish his speak about Alexander of the Greek Empire. But that was not recorded, since I've recorded without sound. Oh, so terrible. Yeah, the resources are important. Stuff like, is there river, is there forest, are there mountains, is the terrain flat or hilly, is there a coast? Stuff like that is very important for where you want to place your city. Now, in here, it's now interesting. I see already a lot of good stuff. I can see with my settler and my warrior already some land. I have to consider what I want to do, because I will not just settle in place. I will first move with the warrior to discover more land, but before I do that I have to check what I actually want. Now, River. What gives a river? It allows you to build that water mill. Then now I search for the garden, which is also a river or a lake, which is both fresh water, will allow you to build the garden. It's up there at theology. I will soon find it. Exactly. And it needs a river or a lake. So the city, to build a city closer to that is very useful. And there is another building later on, the hydro plant, that also needs a river. I should show that any time, any moment. So building at a river, your city is always a good option. But sometimes you cannot have all the good options. Yeah, if I would settle there, then I would not have the river. And now I'm figuring out where should I move my warrior, because I want to see more land, I think. Oh yeah, and resources I want. This is good because it has several hills, it has jungle, it has some forest, it has the stone, which are early on very good because they give food and production, and that's what you want early on. And long term you would like to get some science. Oh yeah, and the luxury resources give 4 happiness, but only once per luxury, so I would get 4 happiness from gold and 4 from silver. There you see some settings you can make, for example the tile yields to see. This is actually some map toggle can be useful. Here you can turn off and on the resource icons. I recommend to turn them on so you do not miss anything, especially when you want to settle. And then yield icons, I like to leave them on. I think it's very useful, but if it disturbs you, you can turn them off and just turn them on for actually settlers to settle. So you know what tiles give. And the hex grid, I like it to get to know where I can move, because if you have turned all these things off, sometimes it's difficult to see what terrain is what type and where your unit can move, and so I prefer to have on the hex grid. Just it's practical reasons, even though it doesn't look that great. And the lowest thing, the trade routes, I will talk later about trade routes. Yeah, and yeah, because luxuries, they give happiness. So I have 2 silver here and 1 gold, which means I could get 4 happiness from the gold, 4 happiness from the silver, and the other silver, either I do not hook it up and leave it as a jungle, or I trade it away with some AI that may pay me for it or give me something else, so I have to consider it. And the other that now here is the hydro plant I said, it also is at a river, needs a river, and it gives 1 production for every tile next to a river. That can be extremely powerful. In this situation it would be 10. It would be 10 production for my city from what I can see already. And that is huge. It could be even more since I expect the river to go a bit further. So 10 production is amazing. So here on this situation I would definitely stay on a river, because I don't see a mountain and I don't see many more resources. But I did not move my warrior yet. And I also see a lot of jungle, which is very good. Oh yeah, and tiles next to a river count as tiles with fresh water. There is the technology Civil Service that improves these tiles. Oh yeah, and now I'm talking about why a mountain is important. If you can build a city next to a mountain, you can build the observatory, which gives plus 50% science. That's very powerful. So if I had a mountain right next to me, that would be great. And if a mountain would be further, I would have to consider to maybe leave the river to get that mountain. And there are also some wonders that need a mountain at least 2 tiles next to you. For example, the Machu Picchu, a great wonder for gold. And a little bit later there is the Neuschwanstein, which is a great wonder itself. It gives happiness, culture and gold, and all your castles will also give a little bit of that. So if you have a lot of cities, you can build all of them a castle to get more gold, culture and happiness. That is a very powerful wonder. But it needs a mountain next to your city, so in the first ring or in the second ring. If you have a mountain further than that, it doesn't matter. It's actually irrelevant. But to have a mountain can be very useful, so in my opinion, if you can have a river and a mountain, that is very good. And I was talking about fresh water and civil service. That's when you build farms, they give +1 food for the tile. And if you build a farm next to a river or a lake, then that farm will give you +1 more food additionally as soon as you have civil service. So if you can build farms next to a river, so river is really useful, or at least a lake. See here, oh yeah, and the university, which is also is a bit further than civil service, it's at education, and it gives you science, and you can go pretty directly there. You can leave away all the sailing stuff, and the lower part of the tech tree, you can go pretty fast with that. And the university is very powerful, since it gives you 33% science, and +2 science for all of your jungles. You see? And also 2 scientist slots. But scientist slots I will talk a bit later. But it's a very powerful building. Actually one of the best non-wonders you have to build. And you want it in all your cities, especially in cities with jungle. Since +2 science from jungle is so powerful. I mean, in this case it would mean 6 jungle tiles. This would mean 12 science out of that jungle I can see right now. That is a lot of science I would get from that. That's why you should not chop jungle usually down, since 2 food and 2 science is usually just better than what is beneath, and under jungle is always plains. But there we have this silver. Now what should you do there? Chop it down, build a mine, get the silver, get production and gold from that, or leave it and get food, 2 gold and 2 science later on. It depends on how many silver you may have, and if it's your only silver, chop it down, get it up, get the 4 happiness out of it. But if it's not, if you have other silver, you may just leave it there to get a cool science tile. Or you chop it anyway, get the production out of it and trade the silver away for money or for another luxury good with an AI. So you have to consider that. But either way, it is useful. It's good to have such a tile. But there you have to decide and first look at the land. So I will most probably soon move the warrior to see what is behind these 2 silver, since I cannot move him far to the right. He has only 2 movement, and I want to see as much land as possible, and I want to move most probably on one of these hills on the left to see what is behind these hills. So I will not move the settler yet. I may settle in place or I may move him. I don't know yet. What am I talking now? Right now I'm not sure what I'm talking, what I was talking, since this is a voiceover video. Oh, I think I'm talking about production, that you need a few tiles that give you production and a few tiles that give you food. Early on, for example, this stone is very powerful. It gives me 2 food and 1 production. That is good. That is what you want early on. You want either a tile that gives you a ridiculous amount of food or a tile that gives you food and production, because you need to grow your city. You start with population 1, but you want to build buildings fast and grow. If I work right from the bat, such a mine, the gold tile for example, the city will produce fast early on but not grow at all. But if I work the stone, it will produce a little bit and also grow. If I would just work the grassland, or let's say the silver, I would get a bit money, which doesn't help me all that much early on, and some food, so that my city would grow, but it would produce low, like a slowpoke. So I would work on the stone first. But now, my warrior, it has 2 movement, a hill or a forest or a jungle, costs the double movement. Moving on a flat terrain, just this 1 movement, my warrior has 2 movements, so could move twice. But for a hill, it would cost him 2 movement. If he has just 1 movement left, he can move still on the hill. He will just not be able to move further. So most probably I will go on this silver to see what is southwest. Here I see there are forested hills. I cannot see what is behind them. So, and I want to see what is to the left of the river. Okay, I see 1 cow, which is right now out of my range, of my reach. But if I would move 1 to the left, I would get that cow and lose not much in the right. All my goods I would still have. It is now, what do you want? Lose 1 turn but get cows? Or settle 1 turn earlier or not lose cows? So I actually think I should move. I still will have a lot of river. The river goes there a bit to the south, so moving could be a good idea. I could also move directly on that hill, because a hill gives you 1 more production. A hill is actually usually better than a flat land, because a hill gives you more production for your city and the defense bonus. The only downside is it doesn't allow you to build a certain building, which is the windmill, a production building that comes a bit later. But I think it's still usually better to settle on a hill. If it doesn't matter in resources, if you settle on a hill, exactly, that's the windmill, you will not be able to build that. But I still recommend to settle on a hill. If moving to a hill means not losing any of your resources, then do it. If it's not losing mountain, river, or all that cool stuff, then do it. And in this case, I also will go and do that. Come on, I need to move already. Okay, did move. I got more jungle. I lost a few jungle on the right side, but I'll go more on the left side. It's cool. So that's actually the spot I most probably will settle. And I got lucky. I got bananas, which were out of reach from the initial point. And bananas are a good resource. They get improved by the granary. So wheat, bananas, and deer are good. And all these food tiles. I got the stone, I got the cows and the bananas, which I can work early on. This is very, very good. So I can let my city grow. And now move the warrior to see as much land as possible. And just to find ruins, you want to uncover with the least amount of movement, the most amount of land. So either I go to the left, southwest, or I go to one of these hills to see what's behind the hills. But since the warrior has problem with moving through rough terrain, and the scout I'm going to build may be easily able to move over hills and stuff, I will send the warrior to southwest. First 1 tile to see what is coming, and then another tile. Now I see some desert and marble. Marble is a great resource, would also give 4 happiness out of my city, but it's on a flat desert, so just 2 gold. It's a garbage tile to work, but it's still a luxury you could hook up at some point. It's now scouting for ruins and for other city spots, for your next cities. Oh, now I'm talking about the civil service. Exactly, the food from farms on fresh water is improved by 1 as soon as you have civil service. So farms on a river or on the lake get improved by 1. and if it's not even a wheat tile under it, it's even better. But in this case I only have one, and the granary would even make it even better. So you have to decide if you want to build a worker to hook up here some farms, but or if you want to go for a scout or a monument. I recommend usually go for a scout. Most probably you should go for 2 scouts on a big map, especially if it's a Pangea, because you want to find as early as many ruins and to cover up the map, to find the other civilizations and the city-states and stuff. And since everyone is on the same continent, you want to explore that continent quickly. If the map would be smaller, you would maybe just need 1 scout instead of 2. And if the map would be, for example, continents, where you share the continent just with half of the civilization and it's only half the size of a Pangea, 1 scout should be enough too. And especially on Archipelago, which is just islands, 1 scout is definitely enough. But in most of the other situations, I would recommend go for 2 scouts. Especially if the map would be even bigger. If you would say, let's say, play with 12 people, then go for 2 scouts. You need these ruins, you need to scout the map, you need to see what's going on. So we will go now for the next turn and scout a little bit around. Move on the cows. Oh, I found a ruin, so I will move to the tile on the southwest to get the ruin next turn. And I found more silver, and the cow could be a potential city spot down there. Still some river and mountains. Could be good. Oh, and there is desert tiles which can be improved by the wonder Petra. Petra makes desert amazing. Why? This hill, flat terrain, would just be 1 hammer and 1 food, which is the same as a plains. But a hill would be 1 food and 3 hammers, which is an amazing tile, which is better than everything without a luxury or anything. But this is even better. This would be 1 food, 3 production, 2 gold, and you can still improve it. So that would be an amazing tile if you get a Petra there. But it can be quite difficult to get a Petra, especially if it's not in your capital. But you see, with the Petra you can make a desert very useful. In here we got culture. That is, in my opinion, the most powerful ruin benefit you can get early on, since it can save you up building a monument. Okay, through what you want to go I will show as soon as we can do it. But this ruin speeded up to 3 turns. In 3 turns I can go for a social policy. Else I would have about 20 more turns. Oh, and we see a border over there. So there is another player. So settling down here may be a bit risky, since I would need to settle into his face. And that would most probably be not such a good idea. I will talk later about the AI behavior. Okay, we definitely see there is someone. Have to pay a little bit of attention what that guy actually is doing. Now as soon as we see a unit of him or cross his border, get close to his borders, we can see him. Here we have him, Montezuma. And the crowd is pleased. And move next to a hill to find more land or stuff. I mean, I could move on the flat terrain, but it doesn't make any sense, because on the hill I see further, and down there is a city-state. I need to find that, so I get gold, and if it's a religious city-state, also faith. If you're first to discover a city-state, you will get more gold, and maybe faith, if it's a religious one. So let's continue. Let's move the warrior down there to find it. I need to get along the border to find it, or see some units of him. I was first, so I got 30 gold, nice. And there I actually see coast. I hover over it with the mouse to see its coast and not a lake. It's important because coast is not fresh water, but lake is, so I need to know it. And so I know there the world ends there. And this scout will go over the hills in the southeast. They will build another scout that will explore the north. Could go for a monument, but I think it's better to go for the scout since I have already a social policy this turn. Because of this ruin, I got a lot of culture that actually saves me right now the monument, so it's not that important. And the scout could give me more ruins and more intel on the land. And also, scout 5 turns, pottery 5 turns. That's actually pretty good. It's a good synergy, so as soon as the scout is finished, I can start on a shrine or a granary. Okay, now I have to pick a social policy. First of all, these 4 are the first you can pick. But I recommend not to go for honor or piety. Honor and piety are just garbage in the beginning. You do not want them. It's liberty and tradition that are good. You can, if you finished liberty or tradition, go into honor or piety if you like them. But I would first go for tradition or liberty and finish one of these before you go to anything else. Especially if you are new to civilization. Example, tradition, let's go through that. Gives you 3 culture in your capital. What does that mean? First of all, more culture means going faster through the other policies, and the city gets new tiles by its amount of culture. If it gets more culture, it will get faster new tiles, so its border grows faster. That is very useful in the beginning, so that is good. And it also unlocks you to allows you to build the hanging gardens, which is a wonder here. It gives that gives 6 food and a free garden in the city. That is very good for growth. If you rush to that wonder, say I likes to build that wonder too, but if you manage to build that, that's a lot of free food for your city. Lets it grow. That's a very powerful wonder. Then, what else do we have? We have oligarchy, which is not that useful, not that important, but the next one is. It gives a free culture building in all your 4 first cities. What does this mean? First of all, you can save the production you would need to put into building these actual buildings, and it means you have that immediately, which means more culture, which means going faster through the policies. That is very good, so we can build just 4 cities and you will have them, they will be strong, big and powerful, faster than with other policies. And down there are the best policies of tradition. This 10% growth and 2 food in the capital means your capital will grow so fast and insanely good. It means your capital will get faster to a high population, which means it can work more tiles, which means more production and more gold, more science. This is good. You want to grow your capital. And the other one means -1 unhappiness for every 2 citizens, which is actually, could say, 1 happiness for every 2 population in your city and 1 gold. Which would mean if your city is at 10 population, you get 5 happiness and 5 gold. This is very useful. It allows you to grow more. And then the last one is aristocracy. It gives 15% production when building wonders, which is okay, right? Which is not that much. If we look at my city, I have 5 production, plus 15% would mean not even 1. But later on, when you have more production and want to spam wonders, this can be very handy. And it gives +1 happiness for every 10 population, which is okay. So with this one, 5 happiness. If I'm at 10 pop, I get 5 happiness and 1 more through aristocracy, so 6 happiness if I finish tradition, which is nice. Also, finishing the tradition, if you have all policies, will give you free aqueducts in all the 4 cities. So your 4 cities will be very powerful. There's good synergy with the legalism. And also 15% growth in all your cities. This will let you build a few but very big cities, which is very good. And liberty is actually kind of the opposite. gives one culture for every city, which means as soon as you have more than 3 cities, it gives more culture than the one from tradition. But you need to build these cities first. But in the long term, when you build a shitload of cities, you can get a lot of culture. And it's actually very beneficial to, can be good to build many cities. And it unlocks the pyramids, which gives you 2 free workers and does the speed up the construction of worker. That also, if workers build something, they are 25% faster. For example, if I have 4 turns for a mine, you get that? I will only have 3 turns for a mine, which is very good. And in Liberty, so Liberty allows me to build that wonder, and also, yeah, it gives 2 free workers, the pyramids. So that's very good. If you have a ton of cities, you want to have a lot of workers because you have a lot of tiles to improve. So that's a good synergy. And this one gives you 1 free worker, and your workers will build even 25% faster. Again, that stacks, so it is 50% if you have the pyramids and this one. So your workers will build stuff in half of their time. That is very useful. It lets you improve the tiles very fast, faster luxuries and stuff, more happiness, more tile improvements, more farms. And with many cities you need that. And there is a republic, which means 1 production for every city, which is right now from 5 to 6. That's actually a huge bonus at the beginning, and that in every city, that's early on is really useful. It's actually even better than aristocracy for building wonders early on. But still, if you want to build wonders, go tradition, because the growth lets your city be bigger and work on more production tiles. Still go tradition if you want to spam wonders. But anyway, Liberty is not bad, and this gives you a free settler and lets you build settlers faster. So if you want to build more than just 2 or 3, just 3 or 4 cities, if you want to build 6, 5, 6, 8, 7, 9, 10, whatever, a lot of cities, then you go for this. And representation helps to go through faster through the policies, and meritocracy gives you happiness for every city that is connected with your capital by a road. So you can go and build a lot of cities with Liberty, and with tradition you can build a few but powerful cities. For beginners, I recommend tradition. I really recommend tradition. And in this situation I also go tradition, because I don't see any viable city locations yet. I only explored in the southwest, but there is another player, and I do not want to settle into the face of the Aztecs. So for now I will go with tradition, and I think I will stick to it. I mean, I have a good capital and I want to grow that. I want that to be powerful. So tradition it is. But for city spam, go Liberty. Aaron, I think you can go next turn and explore a bit more. We'll move on this forest hill to see behind it. Okay, we see more coast. So now the question is, do I send these scouts south or north? Since there is also coast, land on the southeast may end. Let's move the warrior first. A very nice city location. I see there a river, a wheat right next to the river. I see gold, I see chocolate, and a sheep. That would be a good spot to settle. But it would be a bit difficult to settle there, since it's quite far from my capital. Now I go again into explain the civil service thing, that this wheat would give you 3 food by default, 1 more with civil service, 1 more with a farm, so we are at 5, and even 6 with the granary. A grassland on the river cannot give that much, so this wheat is very powerful. It's a lot of growth. But this location is great, but not really viable, since it's so far from my capital and the land is very hilly, so my settler would take ages to get there, and it's actually on the other side of the Aztecs. So the Aztecs may not like it when I settle there, so it would be a bit risky. So I think more exploring, settling somewhere else. And since in the south is coast, and maybe southeast also coast, so I will go with my scout in the north. Oh, and the barbarian camp does not help either to settle, since it can be dangerous to go nearby with a settler. You need to protect it. And Montezuma would not like me to settle close to him. So let's move to the north, to the northeast, and the other scout will go to the northwest. We're still in a phase where we just have to scout the land. Do some hill hopping, scout for ruins, scout for possible city spots. Move the warrior a bit further. Wow, another one, another wheat. This is really a very good city position. I mean, if you're an experienced player, if I would play this, I would maybe just rush a settle down there and say, I don't care about the Aztecs. If the Aztecs don't like it, they shall go to war. I will just kill them. But that's something you do not do as a beginner. And in war, I will explain a bit later in another video. And actually there is even another player, so it would be settling in between two players, right, very close to their capital, while it's being far from my capital. Not a good idea. But up here looks like a nice spot. We have a little lake, we have a river, we have bananas and dyes. Dyes is a luxury we don't have yet, and bananas gives a lot of growth. And actually now that my capital hooked up the cows, I see that I have even chocolate over there, so my capital is really a good spot. A lot of jungle and a lot of food tiles. Very good. Oh, and there is a mountain, so I could place a city that has sheep, bananas, dyes, river and mountain. That's all I want. Try to build cities on rivers and mountains if you can. That's usually very useful. And we found Cusco, Lord Pachacuti of the Inca. More scouting. Wow, Mount Sinai, a natural wonder. Usually, if that wonder would be closer to me, Russia settler, go settle there, because it's 8 faith. If we were at his position, we would need to settle down there, settler early on to get his 8 faith. This would give me an early pantheon and an early religion. And pantheons and religions are very important and very powerful. I will talk a bit more about them later, but faith is actually a good thing and is important. Wow, I got marble in my capital, very nice. So it was good that I moved, because the marble, the bananas and the chocolate would be out of reach if I did not move. A ruin over there, so cool. And now I really want another city up there. That would be really good. Now what do we build? I could go for a worker, or a monument, a granary, or a shrine, or a settler. But this is just, good spots are yet just too far. There is one up the right, but I'm just too pop. I don't think I need to really hard rush a settler this fast. If Sinai were south of me or something, I could go for the settler right now. Maybe worker to improve some tiles, to build some farms, but right now I do not have any wheat or something, so maybe something else. The monument, like I said, I'm doing good in culture right now. I already opened tradition, so I will get at some point a monument for free with legalism, so skip that for now. Granary would improve the wheat and give me 2 food in general. That would be actually very nice. So it's just granary or shrine. A shrine gives me 1 faith, so if I accumulate 10 faith, I will get a pantheon. If someone else does it before I do, it will need 15. It goes up by 5 every time. But the earlier I build the shrine, the earlier I start to generate faith to get a pantheon. Well, you need to know what pantheons there are you can get, because there are different good pantheons. You can get something like culture from jungle tiles, or culture and faith from gold and silver. And in my situation, I have that cool stuff. I can get a good pantheon, so I want that early, and I built the shrine now early. Granary would only improve the bananas and nothing else. If I had, let's say, bananas and 2 wheat, it would be something else. Then I would maybe go first for the granary. But right now I prefer the shrine. Then the question is now science. Do I want to go to build some wonders, maybe for writing? What am I doing here right now? Oh, I'm still explaining the Pantheon stuff, I think. And why I took pottery first. Pottery first to get granary and shrine. These are good buildings. And they're really you usually want to build one of them early on. Either the shrine to get a Pantheon, or the granary if you have wheat, bananas, and or deer. And then it also unlocks these 3 powerful techs. Sailing is very good when you're at the coast and have coastal resources, then you want sailing at optics early on. Or if you want to rush some science or rush a wonder, you could go for writing and build a great library. Or calendar to build a Stonehenge for more faith. It depends a little bit on your taste and on your land. If you really have food and production, you can go for these and wonder spam early on. If you don't, you may want to go for animal husbandry and bronze working to reveal horses and iron on the map, to see where that is, because these are good tiles to work. Iron gives production, just more production for the tile it is on, that is good, and horses usually give food and production. What is, like I said, is like the stone, that's what you want to work early on. You want to work that stuff because these are good tiles, so you could reveal them. And right now I don't think we want a rush a wonder, but first the Pantheon, so we have some time. And the horse, it could be that I have some horses in here, so let's reveal that, and it would also allow my work to improve the cows. So it could be a good idea to go for animal husbandry. Temple of Artemis would also be an option. It's a good wonder, so you could go for that and build after shrine Temple of Artemis. Usually you do Temple of Artemis when you have a few cities with a shitload of food. My capital has a lot of food, that would be a really good option for it, so it could grow faster, and the other city could get some food. So right now Temple of Artemis wouldn't be even that bad, so it's tempting. Could also go for mining, and because to actually hook up my luxury goods. But I think for now we go just to reveal some horses and be able to hook up the cows. Sometimes it's really not easy to decide in which direction you want to go on these early technologies. Writing or calendar for wonder spam, or reveal some resources, or go for the Temple of Artemis. It's not that easy. Oh yeah, and if you go for writing, I can recommend, while you're building the great library, research calendar. So go writing and then shift click calendar. While you build the great library, you research calendar, and when you have finished the great library, you can take with the free tech philosophy, which is a very expensive tech. And you would get that early on and could start early on Oracle, which is also a very good wonder. Even though the AI doesn't go that fast for Oracle usually. So you may still have some time to switch in another wonder, maybe the Temple of Artemis or something else. Or maybe you want to build a quick granary or something. And then go for the Oracle. But still, it's a good tech, and to get such an expensive tech for free is very good. And if the Great Library needs longer to build, then actually it needs to research calendar. You can also research maybe animal husbandry to get the horses, which can give you more production for you to build your wonders, since horses give food and production. So that's actually the path I did in here can be a very good one if you want to go for wonder spam. Or you could also try to rush the hanging gardens and just go pottery and then directly to hanging gardens and try to build them early, since the AI likes to build the hanging gardens. The AI also likes to build the great library. The AI usually is not in such a rush in Temple of Artemis. I mean, it could build it very early on, but usually it just finishes it at turn 50 or so. at the same time as the Great Library and the Stonehenge. And the Hanging Gardens comes shortly afterwards usually. So if you want these wonders, try to build them early on. I see good land up here and an enemy, but there is marble, citrus and some fog of war I want to explore. Could be another city spot. And we have a shitload of sheep for this city location I want to plant. That would be amazing. And the barb came very close to my city, another ruin. Let's just do some more exploring. Find more ruins. Wow, so cool. So Cusco did not went south in exploring. Good that I went south. I did not want to go to the west since there were so many hills. My warrior would take forever to move there. So this is a good spot. And up here I want to explore the north more. Maybe I can settle there again. Okay, let's scout a bit more. Found Zurich as first. Cool, 30 gold, nice. The dangerous barbarian, but I will cover up a little bit of this land. I want to see what is there. And okay, now I got the worst possible thing out of a ruin. I got to see barbarian camp. So down there is one and up there is one. I so do not care about them. So let's explore a bit more of this jungle land over there. I'm glad I sent a scout in that direction. And I got an upgrade to a unit. Nice. Usually a warrior gets upgraded to a spearman, but since I'm playing as Greece, which has replaced their spearman with a hoplite, that is very good since the hoplite is a strong unit. Cool. So let's see what else we can do and find. Now it's just a build up and exploring phase. That's what the early game is about. I will explore a little bit more, but at some point I have to bring the warrior back to protect my lands from barbarians. Found another ruin, so cool. This is actually a very good land up there. 2 citrus, a river, cows, marble, a lot of wheat. That's a very good land. I may want to settle up there. I mean, down here is really questionable. I mean, could go river, marble, but still, there are not that many ties I could even settle, and it could make Tenochtitlan mad at me for settling close to them. So down here is really not an option, but to the north, there are good locations. Also, I got marble already in my capital, and so I do silver, so no more luxuries. Here at the coast wouldn't be good either. I mean, you would get fish in the coast, but no river, no mountain, no fresh water, and the gold is already in range, will be in range of the capital, so But over here is a good spot. River, mountain, bananas, a lot of sheep, and dice. That's actually a very good location. We'll be able to build a lot of farms thanks to the lake and the river. And up to the north, where the ruin of my scout is also very good. So many good resources, and the river will be able to build so many farms. But on the east there is an enemy, so I may have to hurry there, in the hope that this guy doesn't get mad for me settling there. So, this scout can explore a bit more. Okay, there are mountains, so there is also not a city location yet. What am I talking now about? Or what was... Oh yeah, I could also scout along the coast, but I want my scouts with a minimum movement to explore the most amount of land, and ruins will not spawn on water, so why should I scout the coast when I can scout the land? I can always scout the coast later on. Also, the river is not close to the coast, and I want to settle on the river and most probably not on the coast, since my capital is not coastal. Would be something else if your capital is coastal and this would be, let's say, a continent's map. You could actually try to build as many coastal cities as possible. That wouldn't be a bad idea. What am I explaining now? I think I explained now why I built the shrine or something. I'm not that sure. Yeah, I think I explained something about the granary, but I may have already explained it this time. Oh yeah, now I explain why I want a pantheon early on and stuff. But I will do that again when I can found the pantheon. I will go real quick through the pantheons that are good in this situation. What am I doing so long in here right now? I don't know. Maybe I explained like with this voiceover just a bit faster than I did there. Hmm. I'm so sorry, I really don't know why. What I'm explaining here seems to be a longer explanation. But I explained already the stuff with the horses. I really don't know. Oh, am I explaining the thing with the forests? Yeah, right, and wonder spam. It can also be good if you have a lot of forest to chop them down, since that's what I'm explaining here, right? If I chop down a forest right next to my city, it will give me 20 production as a boost to what I'm building right now. In case of the shrine, which costs 40 production, it would be halfway built by chopping down a forest. I need mining for that to be able, and the worker to be able to chop down. But let's say if I build a wonder, 20 production is quite a lot just for free. So with a lot of forests, just chop them down to get a wonder. That can be very powerful. Because 20 production, when I have only 5 production a turn, that is actually 4 turns. The wonder will be built 4 turns faster. That is very good. So sometimes you go for writing and then for mining. And while you go for writing, before you start the library, you build a worker. And then start to chop some forests to get the production. That can actually speed up your wonder production. That can be very good. And right now, I will go into oligarchy to get faster to the other policies. Since, I mean, aristocracy is not bad, but right now I'm not building any wonders. And I think the 2 policies down there will help me a lot, and also legalism will help me a lot. So I will go for that first. I can always go to aristocracy later on. So in here I have a very good starting location. I will in the next video I will talk a bit more about starting locations and the initial settler, where you place them, how you look at stuff. I will go real quick through a few starts and we'll restart the game over and over again. Right now I'm explaining something that is a bit enhanced, that you can put a focus down here. You see, gold focus means it goes to the silver, and actually the cows. Other focus at the moment too, since I only have 2 workers, but food focus means takes the other silver with food and gold and the cows. But now if I buy these bananas, which I should do right now, since it doesn't go automatically to that, food focus means it works on bananas and cows, since that is most of food. Gold focus will change it over. But maybe I want gold and food, not gold and production, so I would have to lock it down manually. You see, it stays there, but I maybe want food and gold, and I have to lock it down this way to get what I want. And as soon as I get a new population, it will automatically place the new guy into a slot according to your focus. So if I would be now at food focus and my city would grow in 8 turns, it would work on the bananas. And if I go for production focus and let's say switch around this, well, it would work on a production tile on the after 8 turns. But how it works is the calculation for food is already over. That's why you get a new population. It calculates the food and then it gets a new one. And you want that new one to work on a production tile. So you usually go lock in. If you want to maximize your benefits, you do manually lock in the citizens and go on production focus. So it will work on this silver. And as soon as the city has grown, you will go into the city and lock it down on a food tile. Because if it grows, the production of the new settler will get calculated to the production at the same turn, but food wouldn't, since it grew already, so it already calculated the food. That's why you usually, if you want to maximize your cities, go production focus and lock down your settlers, your citizens. And of course, if you want to rush a wonder, you would make something like this to get the maximum amount of production. You could do even this, but it would mean starving. I do not recommend that, because if you starve too much, your city will lose population. So for now, I would like to get the production, so my shrine is in 4 turns and my city grows in 3 turns. And then I put it on production focus, then it will go to the silver, and as soon as it does that, I will put that silver guy to the bananas, so it grows faster, and then the 4th guy will go again to the silver. That is actually something very important. If you can do that well, you will play a lot stronger than ever before. And the AI, if you just put the focus, it's never as good as when you do it manually. So go production focus and set down the citizens manually. And that counts for all cities. So now, more exploring. Got sailing, right now completely useless, but sailing is actually, I mean, at some point I would need to research it. So hey, free tech, never a bad thing. Another city over there. So we have 2 people there. So if I want to settle there, I have to quite rush to that. But it's such a good position, I would like to get it. Near Genoa. So we will, oh, another city-state, okay, I will actually scout that other city-state out and then take my warrior back. Since down here won't most probably be any more ruins, since ruins have to spawn at the minimum distance, I think, 2 tiles away from any borders. Doesn't matter if player borders or city-state borders. So I will get that spearman, that hoplite, back to my city to protect it. To escort a settler or protect my tiles from barbarians or something like that. That's fun. Oh, Ife, a religious city-state. That's like I said, it gives you not only gold but also faith. And since I was first to discover it, it gives me 30 gold and 8 faith, and not just half of it. That's very good. Now I just need 2 more faith to get a pantheon, as long as nobody else found 7. And this settler, this scout can find Marrakesh. Okay, cool. Yes, citrus and wine is actually a very good start location. A lot of food and enough hills for protection. And another city-state, Almaty. About city-states and also AI behavior, I will talk a little bit later in this video. Or maybe in the next video. So now, what am I explaining now? Okay, more scouting. This guy can scout into the direction of the Aztecs and see how the land is over there. Since I will not settle in this direction, I will settle northeast. try to finish my shrine. Oh, my city grow. Yeah, now I explained that I will talk later about city-states and the actual AI behavior, since that sometimes is also important for when and how you settle down your other cities. For now, oh, I left it on food focus. I should have went it production focus, so it works the silver and now lock down the bananas. And the next guy will go to the silver, since it's now definitely on production focus. But I lost here 2 production, 2 gold unnecessarily for 1 turn. So bring this guy back home and do a bit more exploring. Maybe I find a ruin, or at least can cover up the land a bit more to get more intel on people and land. Oh yeah, I discovered horses. Nice. I have 2 horses in range, and that one is on max range, so thanks to the fact that I moved, I got 1 more horse. Very good. This horse is actually 2 food and 1 production, but it doesn't show properly right now, but it should update it the next turn. Nice, another ruin. Marrakesh, dude, I found a ruin down there on this desert hill, and up here. You did not do well in scouting. Tenochtitlan as barbarians, very good. That may slow them down. That's good. So if he wants to settle into my direction, it could slow him down. It's always a pleasure to find enemy settlers in barbarian camps. So now, what do I want to build? Could go for granary, worker, or settler. If I want to settle up here, I may need to build a settler right now to get there in time. I mean, over here I do not want to settle. Down here I shouldn't also not settle, and over here I haven't explored that much, but it doesn't seem that good, and I need to go further south, and the north is just as far. Over here we'll definitely settle. Okay, the horse is plopped on the tile I want to settle. I will explain. Okay, should you place your cities on resources or not? I will explain that in a few moments. Because, what am I going? I will go for a settler. I think I could wait 7 turns, but I think that delays it too much. Now, city assignment, when you build a settler, your city cannot grow nor starve when you settle. So I could reset my tiles and go on production focus. But it still works 2 food tiles, which is retarded since my city cannot starve. I want to use the maximum amount of production. So these are my only hammer tiles, and my settler is 11 turns. With default focus upon production, it would be 12 turns. So manual is just, as usual, better. So I will rush out a settler in 11 turns. That is good. And then rush the settler up there. And as soon as the settler is finished, I have to reassign the city, or it may starve. It's very important. And actually I will bring this scout home, so this guy can then escort the settler to the north. I do not want the settler being captured by barbarians. Now over here, in this case, I would settle on resources. It usually is not that bad to settle on a resource if it gets you what you want. I mean, I wouldn't settle on bananas since it gets rid of the forest and stuff, and bananas are very good with this jungle science bonus. But the horse is okay. It would be a good tile, but where should I settle else? Either on one of these 3 tiles, and then I wouldn't get the mountain. Or I settle right next, and so not get the observatory, which gives 50% science. This one, I would like to get that. So if I want to get that, not settle on the horse, I would need to settle over there, left of the horse, but then I would not have the river. So I have either the choice, get river and mountain, but settle on horse, or not get river or mountain. In this case, I think, fuck that horse, just settle there, get river and mountain, it's such a good position. I mean, I I would not get all the benefits of horses, but I would still hook them up. So as a strategic resource, I would get these horses and be able to build horse units. So I think settling there is still a very powerful option. And of course, up here, I still want to settle. It's such a nice place. Definitely have to rush up there. If it were not that far, or if there were not any enemy cities close, I would not need to rush it, but in this case I think I have to go. So you see, the early game is really about exploring, about science, about technologies, about scouting, about getting ruins, get intel on the land, and about basic buildings in your city, and maybe about expanding fast or rushing a wonder fast. Depends on the land. Here I have good city spots to settle, and I can found a pantheon in this turn. I will first move my units and then go for the pantheon, then talk about it. This guy can actually explore a bit along the coast on his way back. I have a scout in the north. Still needs to move into this ruin. Okay, I got 75 gold. That's nice. So maybe I could buy something at some point. But for now, Pantheon. Let's talk about a Pantheon. I was lucky to get this faith so early since the city-state. What are the good Pantheons? There is religious idols that gives +1 culture and 1 faith from gold and silver. That is very good. You have to actually read a bit through the pantheons to know what pantheons are there, and if you need to rush a shrine to get a pantheon. I knew I have a few good options in here, so I wanted to rush it. And if you found your pantheon the first time, if you're a beginner and new to Civilization, just go for the shrine at some point and try to get a pantheon, and then read through all the pantheons, try to get something and find out what is good for you. In here I have 2 silver, 1 gold, so it would be very good. But also very good could be actually, right now I see, the religious idols, faith and culture from gold. That would be very nice, gold and silver. I could also take, for example, there are other good pantheons. For example, faith from natural bonds would be for Cusco very good. He could get 4 more faith from Mount Sinai. If he will settle that, that would be good. Or in his situation, desert folklore with 1 faith from each desert tile would be good. That would be good for Morocco too, because they have a shitload of desert that can be very powerful. Since you either usually want a pantheon that gives you faith to get a faster religion, or something with a very good benefit. I could also take stone circles, since I have stone and marble. That would give, if I hook it up, 2 faith. So 4 faith. That's not bad. That would get me a quick religion as long, but I would need to build it. Would need a worker for that. And then there is culture from jungle tiles. I have a lot of jungle tiles in my capital. That would give me a lot of culture. Also, sacred waters would be not bad, since all my cities I'm planning are on rivers. So a few more happiness. But I think this much culture would just be better. Or actually, the god of the open sky, +1 culture from pastures. Pastures you can build on cows, horses, and sheep. And in here we have 4 sheep and 1 cow. I would work on pastures. That would be 5 culture for this city. That would be very good. And the city in the north would have at least 1 cow. And my capital has 2 horses and 1 cow, which would be 3 culture. That would be also very good. But I still would need a worker for that to actually hook up these resources to get the culture from pastures. While on the other hand, the religious idols with culture and faith from gold and silver work immediately, and I'm already working the silver. So it's a bit a matter of taste. A bit later on, pastures would be great, but I think for now, early on, it's definitely better to go with religious idols. Culture from jungle is also an argument. I mean, if I wouldn't be first now, some of these may have been gone already, so decision would be easier. But I think I go for religious idols. See, immediately one faith, one culture. That is good, that will help me out. So now, next turn, more exploring, preparing for my settler, and soon the next video will go a bit more into the AI behavior, city-states, this stuff, and also I will go a bit enhanced into the tech tree, and I will make a video with a lot of starting locations to show when you move your warrior, when move your settler, when don't, when is your start location just a huge pile of garbage, so you should restart, when is it amazing, what is important. I will show a bit more of that, I will go more into the detail of that. And right now I'm explaining that I was very lucky that I got Iffy, the city-state, and 8 faith out of that. Because for others it would be now 15 faith necessary for a pantheon. So I was lucky, turn 19 pantheon is very good. So a bit more exploring shall be done now. I think I should send this guy to the right. And to explore a bit into this guy on the right. To find his lands. And actually my scout can come back to my land to protect my settlers, since I have a barb camp up there and that could spawn some barbarians that could annoy me. So since the spearman is still far away, so this guy can move. Oh yeah, I will explain warfare and unit movement and such things later on, because there is something like zone of control. You may have noticed that already, if you played already, that when your unit wanted to move 2 tiles, for example from the marble to the cows, there, it couldn't, because of zone of control. It would only be able to move to the hill, while it usually can move 2 turns. But I will go into details of that, of warfare and stuff later on, in a later video. I think in the 3rd or 4th video of this playlist. Oh, we found Spain. Hello. Isabella. Okay. I think I will go into AI behavior very soon. What am I explaining now? Yeah, exactly. I could settle in between there, but there would only be 1 tile, and it would be 3 tiles away from Tenochtitlan and from Athens. You can, that is the minimum distance. You have to be always 3 tiles away from city-states, your own cities and enemy cities, to build a city. But settling so close to him would make him mad. Even it's just as close to me as to him, but he does not like it. Any AI doesn't like it if you settle into close to their cities. But the opposite around, he doesn't care. If he settles into your face, he doesn't care. He did nothing wrong out of his view. So you have to know that you should not settle into his cities, but cannot expect him not to settle into your direction. So he could get mad, and let's say this guy up here, you go now a little bit into AI behavior, would settle there, and another city here, and another city here on the coast direct, so he would settle directly into my face. He would think he's in the right, it's what he does. But what that also shows, if someone settles direct one city after another into your direction, prepare for war. They want your city. This means they want your city. They want your terrain. You need to prepare for war in that situation. I mean, of course, you want. Also, right now I'm first in soldiers, depending on the difficulty, and because I got a cool unit, I'm considered as first in soldiers. But let's say I would have only, like the last guy here, only 10 power in soldiers. And the first guy would have, let's say, 40 in soldiers. And let's say it would be the Aztecs that have 40 in soldiers. Chances are very high that this guy would declare war on me very soon, since I am weak in his eyes. And he has a lot of armies, so he could roll over me. In that case, build army. If one of your neighbors is first in soldiers and you're not doing good in soldiers, build more units. It is very dangerous. You could lose the game. Let's say there is another city over there. Let's say he has 40 power in soldiers and I have 10 power. And on the other side of him is Cusco that has, let's say, 30 power. Then he will most probably go for me. Also, something about AI behavior. Let's say I have hooked up both of the silver. I can go and sell him this silver. And AI will pay for your luxury always up to 7 gold. If he does not want to pay you 7 gold, it means he doesn't like you. This could be a sign that he wants to go to war with you. In here you can check how much gold everyone has. Right now, Morocco is the richest guy with 4 gold. So right now I would not sell my silver yet, my spare silver yet, because nobody has enough gold or any luxury. There may be the time where someone has hooked up also 2 luxuries. So when AI has a spare luxury, let's say the Aztec have 2 wine and I have 2 silver, then I can also say, okay, let's trade 1 wine for 1 silver. I would get the happiness of the wine for that and not lose anything, since I already have 1 silver and the second silver doesn't give me any benefits. Or just sell it for gold. But if he doesn't want to sell it for 7 gold, or doesn't want to trade his spare luxury for your spare luxury, this may mean he is mad at you and want to go to war with you soon. So with these traits you can also find out if an AI wants to kill you. Of course, certain AIs are more likely to declare war on you. Like this guy is actually, Montezuma is one that likes to go to war. While, for example, Morocco in the north is someone who does not like to go to war all that much. So your actions can influence, and you can find out if they like you or not. If they settle directly into you, there may be war. If you settle into their face, there may be war. If you settle away from them, they don't care. If they don't settle into your direction, if they settle into the opposite direction, if they settle away from you, then they do not make war. And this guy usually is friendly. So I will go into the civs a bit later. But this AI behavior can be quite important. If you have your spare luxuries, trade them, find out if people like you, and find out and get the free money or the free happiness from their luxuries. Try to do these things. And always pay attention to this. If someone has a shitload of army and is next to you, be careful. Be very careful. In this situation, it helps a lot when your city is actually on a hill, since on a hill it has a defense bonus. You see, Tenochtitlan has 11 defense, Cusco has 11, they're both on flatlands, while Athens has 16, because it's on a hill. Then city-states, what can you do with them? You can declare war on them and take them out. AIs don't like when you take them out. Usually, especially when they protect the city-state. Not all AIs hate you at the same amount, but usually they don't like you. You can ask them for tribute. For example, if you have units there, if you're first in soldiers and have units to their border, you could go and ask for tribute to get some gold or even a free worker from them. AIs that protect the city-state won't like that, and may want to go to war with you because of that. But it's not that bad. You can do it at 1 or 2 times, a few times. But if you really go to war with a city-state and take it out, if you conquer it, AIs will hate you for that. You should not do that, except the city-state is a very good city-state with a good land that you really want. Or if you want to conquer everyone in the game anyway, then you can do it too. Also, let's say on this tile on the right there is a worker. You could declare war and snatch that worker with one of your units, and then make peace immediately again. If the city-state is not protected by anyone, then you could actually take it. We pledge to protect it now. Oh, and see, it is under protection of us, but nobody else. So if I would declare war now and snatch the settler, people would not care that much. But let's say if Morocco would have pledged to protect Zurich, Morocco would really not like us declaring war at it. Then we should maybe not do it. So snatching a worker can be very helpful to get an early worker, but can be a bad idea. Then in here I can gift them stuff to get influence. If my influence is at 30 or higher, we are friends. If my influence is at 60 or higher, we are allies. With ally status I get all the benefits. In here, wine and porcelain. So a lot of happiness. With 30 I will get just half of it. This is a mercantile city-state. So it gives just an additional luxury. It gives wine, porcelain. There are other city-states like Prague in here. That gives me furs when I'm allied, and also a bit of culture. If I'm just friends, so between 30 and 60, it will give me only half amount of culture. But still, it's free culture. It can be good to be allies with them. And down here, if is a religious one, this will give me sugar and horses, and because it's religious, it will give me also faith. And Genoa is just like Zurich, but we have Almaty up here, which is a militaristic city-state. This guy will give you every few turns, maybe all 10 or 15 turns, something like that, will it give you military units. It also is specialized here in Comanche riders, which means as soon as you have the tech that would be necessary for Comanche riders, it will give you Comanche riders. If you don't have that, it will just give you some random useful military unit. Then right now we lack one sort of city-state, that maritime city-state. That is one that gives you, if your ally or friends, gives all of your cities a bit more food. Yeah, we don't have that yet. See, we have mercantile, we have culture, we have religious, we have militaristic, but we have no maritime. That would just give food. So, can be useful to be friends with these city-states. But you need to give them money. You can also, like I do here, pledge to protect them, which will put the default point from 0 to 5. And other cities, like I said, civilizations may also pledge to protect them. And you should not declare war on city-states others have pledged to protect. Maybe a bad idea. Yeah, well, I think I've talked quite a lot about AI behavior and city-states and what you should do and what you shouldn't do and what you can do and what are signs, when do people declare war on you. Settling into your face may mean they want to war you anytime soon. And just be prepared for that. Have an eye on it. Check the deals. Do stuff. With that you can see into the future and know when they declare war on you. And for now I think I will end the video in here. In the next video I will go more into city settlement, especially the initial one. I will restart a few times and see what locations we will get and what we will do out of it. I will go more in enhanced city buildment, what buildings will you build after the basics, and what technologies you will tech. I just went for this basic stuff in here, but I will go a bit further and explain more over here and how you get there and what you should prioritize. We'll just explain a bit deeper into the game. And we may also have the chance to get a religion and talk about religions and what are they for, because religion is powerful. Religion gives a lot of good benefits. So I think that was it now for this video. I hope you learned a lot of what I explained and had also some fun. And if you want to know more, go to the next video. If you think you had already enough knowledge, just go and play, try it out. Try out what I said, or don't do it and find out if it doesn't work or works still anyway. Just go and play the game.